Tens of millions of Americans are struggling to figure out how they're going to put food on the table, pay the rent, and take care of other basic needs. Congress could have eased that uncertainty by passing a relief bill, which would extend hundreds of dollars a week in extra unemployment benefits. But lawmakers left for the August recess without doing so, and both sides are blaming each other for failing to act. Now, this comes as the Labor Department reported that another 963,000 Americans filed for first-time unemployment claims last week. In all, more than 28 million Americans are now receiving some form of unemployment benefits. Economists say the longer the pandemic drags on, the more likely it is that those job losses will become permanent. That's why Sara Nelson, president of the Association of Flight Attendants, Communication Workers of America, and co-chair of the Biden-Sanders Unity Task Force on the Economy, is calling on Congress to act now. As she wrote in Fortune magazine, as we stand on the precipice of a second Great Depression, we can't afford to go small. When the virus surges again, more jobs will disappear. Without real relief, there will be nothing to slow our descent this time. Sara Nelson joins us now. Sara, while everybody else is looking at the world and saying, wow, for the first time in 21 weeks, we had fewer than 1 million people sign up for unemployment benefits, you're actually quite worried that there's nothing coming here. For those people who continue to file, for those people who continue to be on unemployment, they've lost the federal bolster, and there are a number of other things they've lost, too. You see this situation getting much worse, not better.
Ali, the situation is dire, and we cannot entertain for a second that Congress has left and is not going to do anything until September. Mitch McConnell said they can come back in 24 hours. Nancy Pelosi says they will pull people back. Their staffs and those leaders are still in Washington and able to negotiate a deal right now. We have to demand it. We have to demand it. Just take, for example, the airline industry. We are going to have people who 19 years ago, after September 11th, are going to be on furlough again. They're going to be without a job. But this time, 1 in 5 Americans looking for a job cannot get one, because for every one job, there are 5 people looking for it. And so everyone out on unemployment can't find a job to replace that. After 9/11, flight attendants did other things. We did things like go work in restaurants. We worked in retail. We got our degrees in computer programming. We did other things. That is not available this time. And I think about my beloved California Pizza Kitchen that I worked at that has now filed for bankruptcy. There is nowhere to go. The $600 unemployment check plus ups, that was supporting another 5 million jobs. So we're going to see those jobs gone. The state and local funding that will keep rural hospitals open and keep our transportation systems moving and keep our teachers employed. If we don't have that, that's going to be another 5.3 million people out of work. And there's nowhere to go. There is nowhere to go unless this Congress acts right now, and it has to be Congress.
So for some reason, Congress sees this as an abstraction, or at least Republicans in Congress see this as an abstraction. It's a continuation of spending that is going to add to the debt. In your article for Fortune, you write that millions of workers can't make ends meet even with the $600 added federal benefit. 1 in 3 Americans is behind on housing payments, and 30 to 40 million people face eviction in the coming months. Without a deal in Congress, those numbers will skyrocket. Play that out for me. People lose their homes, property values go down, there are fewer jobs because there's less demand from people who don't have any money, and this cycle gets worse. So while you're seeing fewer people filing for unemployment benefits right now, there's nothing on the horizon that suggests that it's going to goose the economy in some fashion, and we're going to get back to something that looks like normalcy in a few months.
Ali, what we're talking about is all these people losing their homes, having tremendous hurt in the middle of a pandemic. Also, let's recognize they're losing their health insurance as well. And this is going to have a trickle-up effect on the hurt. And before we know it, we're going to be talking about having to bail out the banks again. That's what we're talking about, is a total collapse of the entire system. Talk about the post office for a second. These are 600,000 good union jobs of people who have been essential workers, continuing to be the last mile of our shipping infrastructure in this country. Rural communities are going to be completely cut off if we don't have our postal service. Veterans who work there are going to go without a job. The veterans who count on their medicine being delivered, and the 4 million people every single day who get their prescription drugs. We are talking about massive hurt across the board and not being able to recover. If I think about my airline industry alone, we're at 25% recovery right now. My U.S. passport is no good. I can't even fly anywhere else in the world. Americans have lost access to the rest of the world. We've lost our freedom. And that is because we are not containing this virus. We're not doing what's necessary to prop up our economy. We're not going to be able to travel. Also, we're not going to be able to buy airplane ticket. That's just one example, and that's the backbone of our economy, the airline industry. So if we don't act right now, if Congress doesn't come back right now, let me just say, the House acted over 90 days ago, and there's negotiations that happen. People like to say, oh, that package was too big, it was too much, whatever. Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer have been at the table saying, we will remove $1 trillion from that package if you just work with us and negotiate on a deal that everyone can agree on. And I can tell you, Allie, from talking to members of Congress, there is broad support for our post office. There is broad support for supporting the jobs in the airline industry. There is broad support for spending right now, because even fiscal conservatives know that every day that we wait, the price of recovery becomes greater, and we may not be able to recover.
Sara Nelson, good to see you. Thank you for joining us this morning. Sara Nelson is the president. There you go. Sara Nelson is the president of the Association of Flight Attendants and the co-chair of the Biden-Sanders Unity Task Force on the Economy.